Hi everyone, I'm John C. Morley, the host of the JMOR Tech Talk Show and Inspirations for Your Life. Well, hello there, everyone, and welcome to another great edition of the JMOR Tech Talk Show. Today is Friday, and that means it's time for another JMOR Tech Talk Show. Thanks so much for tuning in. If this is your very first time here, a welcome and thank you. If you're coming back, a big welcome and thank you for coming back. Really do appreciate that. Tech is always changing and evolving, and this is the place where I share all kinds of insights. And again, if you are new here, don't feel free to check out BelieveMeAchieve.com right after the show. We have short form content, long form content. You can replay JMOR Tech Talk. You can watch my other show, like Inspiration for Your Life. You can watch reels. You can read my articles and so much more, guys. So definitely check out BelieveMeAchieve.com right after the show is over. If you guys are thirsty, feel free to go get yourself something to snack on, whether it's water, juice, whether it's something hot, cold, sweet, tart, healthy, sour or not. That's totally up to you. Without any further ado, guys, let's go ahead and kick off this show. Are you guys ready? I know I'm ready. All right, guys. So again, welcome to another exciting episode of the JMOR Tech Talk Show with your host, myself, John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, engineer, marketing specialist, video producer, podcast host, coach, graduate student, and of course, a passionate lifelong learner. And this week's show, Tech Turbulence Week, from TikTok's big deal to laser-powered chips. And that's pretty amazing, guys. And this, in case you guys are wondering, this episode this week is actually Series 4, and it is show 46. I can't believe, guys, in less than 8 weeks, we are going to be out of the year, right? What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. 7. We'll be out of Series 4 and we'll be into Series 5. That'll be amazing. So laser powered chips, they're packed with the most electrifying stories at the intersection of course, technology, innovation today, and everyday life. So grab your headphones, grab that beverage, and let's dive in together into how the digital world rocked our week. Are you ready, guys? So number one, China's given the okay or the green light for TikTok's U.S. sale. This has been something we've been waiting for a long time. New owners, new rules, and TikTok just scored apparently a huge win after we said China approved its sale to the U.S. investors, stirring up social media with algorithm power plays and a shakeup in ownership, with ByteDance dropping below the 20% mark. All eyes are on what's next for the For You page, and the question is, will we get to keep the For You page? Unfortunately, guys, we're probably not going to get to keep the For You page. If you were on it, there's going to be new algorithms and new things happening. And so there's going to be new ways to get to the top. And it's going to probably be different since the algorithm is not driven by the Chinese company TikTok. And it's the future of the global tech and the new governance. So the question is, TikTok really safe now, or is this just a start of a new chapter? Well, I don't know the answer to that, but I know that the U.S. government is working very hard to make sure that this does stay separated now, with TikTok dropping below the 20% mark. I have to believe that the U.S. is going to have their hands more in things. So I have to say that I believe that's probably going to make things definitely better. Okay, I do believe that. And so we're going to have to wait and see, what's happening and why things are going on. But one thing is certain, guys, a lot's happening. And so, you might be saying, well, what's happening? it's crazy, because TikTok, even the other day I was posting some things, right? And TikTok is now getting very picky on the titles you put on things. So I was talking about something for robotaxi, and I put something about, is it really safe to have autonomous vehicles, driving our vehicles, our cars? And they basically told me that didn't meet their edits. There was another one that I tried to post. I'm just looking here because I think this is all political propaganda. If you ask me, I mean, that's my honest truth. There was another one that didn't go through. It was another title that I had. And so that one was all about, AWS meltdown when one crash breaks the internet. So they felt they didn't want to post that either. So I don't know. TikTok is definitely very biased. This video is not going on to TikTok. They even had stripped us of our ability to post to TikTok streaming because they claimed that it violated their TOS. I don't know, whatever. So hopefully now that it becomes a U.S. entity, it will become a lot more trustworthy. So who owns the new U.S. TikTok? I think that's the biggest question. The majority of the U.S. international investors are going to own 65% of the company, with ByteDance and Chinese investors owning less than 20%. Trump's executive order hands oversight of the app's algorithm to the new investors, including 6 out of 7 seats on the board of directors. So, like I said, the deal is going through. When the big question is, when will the U.S. TikTok app launch? And I think everybody is on the edge of the chair waiting with bated breath. They said September 5th. That obviously didn't happen. So it's obviously sometime next year. So we'll definitely keep you abreast of what's happening. And Qantas, yes, a cyber breach. Digital chief quits and millions are affected. It's funny that he leaves just after the breach. Yeah, right. Cybersecurity takes center stage as Qantas faces a massive data breach, forcing the digital and customer chief out of the door. Over 1 million customers have been impacted, triggering a scramble for answers in both airline recovery and passenger trust. What actions will Qantas take to reassure travelers and investors? I don't know, guys, but I know that when a head of a company decides to bail, that's not a very, very good thing. It's a major shakeup with this massive breach that happened. And, I think it comes down to the fact of, analytics. It comes down to the fact of, cybersecurity. Who do we point a finger to? So this person figured, okay, I want to leave because I don't want to be responsible. Maybe he was aware, wasn't aware. I don't know. But usually when they want to get out of the hot seat, it's because they don't want to take accountability or responsibility. So I don't know. But the fact that he's leaving, that doesn't really put a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling inside me. So number 3, guys, Tesla recalls the Cybertruck over a light bar flaw, and it sparks a safety fix. In a surprising move, Tesla announced a recall for nearly 6,200 Cybertrucks due to a light bar defect, and it's labeled a road hazard, quote unquote. Owners will receive, thankfully, a free repair. But what does this mean for electric vehicle safety standards? I don't know, guys. I think it's a very, very big problem, and Tesla's reputation is on the line. And is this going to be your next EV purchase? I know, real quick story. I had put $5,000 down holding a Tesla several years ago, and then when a friend of my friends actually wound up almost, getting killed trying to get out of his car because he was like prisoner to his car, wound up smashing a window. I mean, this is crazy. Then you hear about the lady who was doing this update, and, she's in the car. She has to say she's seated in the car, and she's at one of these fast food restaurants, and she's literally in the car for like over 45, 50 minutes, and she's like literally getting cooked in the car in the summertime. And it says if you open the door, it'll mess everything up. I mean, come on, guys. That's just nuts. But the fact is, if they're having issues with building cars, how are they ever going to build a reliable, safe, dependable, space shuttle or space rocket. I mean, that really has me concerned. I mean, you can't get the mechanics and the electronics down for a basic light bar. Really, guys? And we're trusting you to build a space shuttle and build, let's say, a space rocket, something you're going to charge over $1 million for a ticket. I mean, come on, guys. This is just so terrible and so irresponsible. And my view on this is that if you can't build a simple light bar and the electronics that go with it, you definitely should not be building something that we count on as a nation. Speaking about nation, a nation state hacks major telecoms. Year-long breach is revealed. A United States firm revealed an astonishing year-long attack by nation-state hackers on major telecom clients, threatening the resilience of global networks. Now, how vulnerable is our digital infrastructure? We can dissect the breach's impact and share what financial professionals need to know, that it's not a question of if you're going to get hacked, but when, if you're not properly protected. I mean, that's just the real truth. So again, global networks, are they at risk? Maybe. The thing is this, cyber, crimes are becoming more and more every day. And analyzing things, seeing how they're causing a drop in companies' bottom lines, and not only the drop, but it's also causing a big loss in reputation, which is also causing a drop in the bottom line, right? People's respect is like, sinking faster than the Titanic ship, no pun intended there. So, if this is happening, why is it that we are not being more scrupulous? I think the reason comes down to people don't know. And a lot of the government, a lot of the companies, they keep things, out of our, let's say, sight and audio range for a reason. Because they don't want us to think. They don't want us to realize that, hey, maybe they don't know what they're doing. And ladies and gentlemen, chip maker halts China supplies. Tech prices suddenly spike globally. The Dutch chip maker, Nexperia, we've been talking about before, just halted wafer shipments to China, sending some shockwaves through the tech markets and sparking a price spike for semiconductors worldwide. Global auto and electronics industries are confronted with a fast-evolving supply chain dilemma, making this a story with lasting economic effects. And, we knew something like this was going to happen. We didn't actually know when. So the chip showdown shakes the world. As I said, the Dutch chip maker Nexperia halts the wafer supplies to China. A lot of companies are trying to figure out alternate solutions, but they don't have any. Some of the foreign countries are trying to figure out ways to do their own chips, but discovering they don't have the resources to do that. And I think, when we reflect back on, supply and, demand, I think when we are so dependable on a certain country for something, I'm going to say the same thing I say about anything in life. We should never put all our eggs in one basket. What do I mean by that? So, whether it's a project you're working on, you don't want to just trust one person. You want to have multiple people on the team in case somebody falters. When you have a vendor, you want to make sure you have a backup vendor. There are lots of things we could talk about this, but really what putting all your eggs in one basket is, it means that you don't have a plan B. And I think not having a plan B is something that a lot of people feel they don't need a plan B because we've never needed one up until now. And okay, maybe you haven't needed a plan B up until now, but the fact that you can't do this in a way that's best for everyone means we got to start looking for a plan B, maybe even a plan C. Why? Because if the chip supply dries up, that means they could charge whatever they want. Let's look at the Cabbage Patch Kids from many years ago, right? Does anybody know? You started with Cabbage Patch Kids. Does anybody know how much was let's say a non-demand? So how much is a regular Cabbage Patch Kid. So this is the one, you know, that they get the certificate saying it's authentic. So you can get they cost approximately $20 to $60, and it varies on the size and features. Now, when they had the demand for Cabbage Patch Kids, how much did they charge? Anybody know how much they charged? Well, when they had the demand, they were going for $175, and I know some people that paid over $200 and $300 because they had to have the Cabbage Patch Kid. It's ridiculous. So I think when we see that a demand source, you know, we're using one source and we don't have a backup. I mean, even with myself, when we use suppliers, if one supplier suddenly falls out, we've got to have another one. I say the same thing about banks. You know, banks are changing. And I use the analogy, you know, you can't have a monogamous bank relationship. You need to have a polymorphous relationship where you have relations with multiple banks. And so, you know, banks don't like to hear that. But at the end of the day, banks are not being as honest and transparent. I'm not singling out one bank. I'm talking about not just banks that we go to for our personal business, but our business as well. But I think the other thing about banks is they're also, they're not hiring the same way they did before. They're hiring the cheapest people. They're not the most skilled. And they're hiring for, let's say, the book cover approach. They don't care what they have inside. At least that's what a lot of the studies have been showing. And then they waste people's time on interviews. And you know what happens? They get frustrated and they use this typical approach. Oh, you know, you're the first one. And, you know, we'll have to get back to you. And guess what? They don't get back to you. They just placate you. I mean, is that any way to treat someone that is trying to get a job? And at least be transparent. Say, hey, we're moving forward to other people, right? But don't string somebody on the line. And the thing is, this one bank, I knew somebody went there, and they went for several interviews for different bank, let's say, branches. And they all played the same game. It's a game, guys. But watch what I'm telling you. The banking industry is going to change. I would be a bit surprised in several years if we don't have only 10 or 15 banks. I think I've said this once before. So a lot about that. First Citywide robotaxi launches a driverless rides rollout program. So driverless cars are no longer science fiction anymore, right? And so rolling out the world's first citywide commercial robotaxi permit now in Shenzhen. This marks a milestone for urban mobility and the evolution of smart transportation. Would you ride in a car with no one at the wheel? Well, currently right now, the answer is no. I am studying for my next master's in computer science, AI, and then my PhD. And I got to tell you, what I'm seeing there is there's a lot of promise, okay? But there's still a lot of mistakes being made. And when we got people's lives resting behind the wheel of a non-driverless vehicle, okay, we've seen so many issues, right? We've seen issues where the car, okay, misinterprets an obstacle and hits it. We've seen issues where the car misjudges its stopping distance. Now, any of you that use smart cruise control know the regular cruise control you use, it basically just keeps the speed no matter what. That was around 5 years ago. Now we have more advanced smart cruise control, which has a unique feature. It has sensors in the car. And what it does is it makes sure that your car stays within that speed. So let's say that you hit the gas, it goes faster and then it drops back to that speed. If you're between cars, most cars have three different, let's say, focal point lengths. Basically, one is far. One, I believe, is the next one in the middle, which is like your middle range, which is near, and then the last one I think is nearest. So you can set your range. I always keep mine on far. Of course, my car does a great job, but I mean, allowing a vehicle to autonomously make the decisions. And we all know that when you try to deploy smart cruise control in bad weather, what happens? It doesn't engage. So what do you do in an autonomous vehicle? Well, sorry, we can't maintain the car, so we have to get someone. Like, they're not being able to do that. So they've got to have other sensors. They got to be able to check different distances, whether they're using LiDAR, they're using other types of systems. But at the end of the day, we can't just rely on autonomous vehicles. And here's why. There has not been enough hours behind the wheel to fully test this. Just like the fact that, Elon Musk's company, Tesla, can't seem to make a truck with a light bar that works. And we're now trying to get a vehicle that is going to autonomously drive, and we can't even figure out how to turn lights on off. I mean, come on, let's get real, guys. I know why people are pushing this, and I'll tell you why. It's not pretty. It's all because of money. People want to push this trend because of money. And with China's, scoring the first citywide driverless commercial robotaxi in Shenzhen, real rides, no human at the wheel. It's a giant leap. But the question you might be asking, it's a very good question. All right, very, very good question. Are driverless taxis safe? What do you think? I'm going to, my answer is going to be. They're generally considered safe and even safer than human cars, according to data, like Waymo, of course, right? But why are, let's say, driver-less vehicles, let's say, unsafe? Does anybody know why? So they're unsafe due to issues with sensors and unpredictable weather, as I told you, road conditions, software glitches, and potential cyber attacks. They also struggle with complex urban scenarios and make split-second decisions, leading to accidents at higher rates in certain situations like turns or at a dawn and dusk time. So the question is, and this is a really good question for all of you, and I think you probably want to know this, if, and this is a great question, if an accident occurs with a driverless vehicle, right? Who gets sued? Who's at fault? Well, first of all, it's more than one person that gets sued. The vehicle manufacturer, the software developer, the human driver operator, even that's the person that has the license for the car, the third-party supplier, if faulty hardware components from another supplier, like sensors, etc., the ride-sharing company, the government or infrastructure providers that are providing it. Often liability is distributed among multiple parties now, with courts and insurance companies determining fault based on evidence, sometimes finding manufacturers, operators, or even external parties partially to blame. Laws vary by location and are still evolving as driverless technology spreads. And although I think driverless technology may have a future, okay, I think it's too soon right now. I just told you about issues that I have where I can't enable my my smart cruise control. I mean, like, that should still work. There should still be other technologies in the car, right? So the question you're probably going to ask everyone is, will LiDAR work in fog? So yes, LiDAR can work in fog. And then you may ask, and so what is better to work in fog? LiDAR or something else. And I think laser technology offers more diverse and numerous things. So the question is, and this is a very good question a lot of people ask, what is the difference between LiDAR and laser for driving sensing? What's really the difference? So LiDAR is a specific type of sensor that uses laser light to create 3D maps, while laser is broader terms for devices that produce a focus beam. For driving, terms are often used interchangeably because the sensors use lasers to measure. A laser is the light source, while LiDAR system is the complete sensor that uses the light. So LiDAR is using laser. So I would throw that to you guys. So LiDAR is using laser. So there's no difference. It's just that LiDAR is using the focused version of the system. In the context self-driving cars, LiDAR is the complete sensor package that uses a laser to see the world in 3D. So the question that you're probably asking is, what type of sensor, in your car detects, we call it blind sight detection, in your car. And so this is something that's been pretty popular. They use radar sensors as the most common technology, but some also use ultrasonic sensors. And these sensors are typically located in the rear corners of the vehicle, such as in the rear bumper and monitor. But again, when you're talking about the side of the car, some of them are located right like in the mirrors and stuff like that. Pros, highly effective, and has a long detection range and works well in various weather conditions. Usually located in the rear corners, as I said, but they also can be located, in the mirror areas. But things like, smart cruise control, they won't even enable. Like they give you an error. They give you an error. They will not enable if the weather is bad or it's raining. And our friends at Disney, yes, Disney vanishes from YouTube TV, and millions of people lose favorite channels like in a heartbeat. In a dramatic streaming standoff, Disney's channels like ABC, ESPN, and FX disappeared overnight from YouTube TV after negotiations broke down. Millions of subscribers woke up to, unfortunately, blank screens signaling a new error in the battle between content creators and streaming platforms. The question everybody's asking, and this is a great question, will Disney, get its channels back? So there's a strong indication that Disney channels will be restored on YouTube TV, as both companies have publicly stated a willingness to find a resolution. While the exact return date is not confirmed in writing, YouTube has proposed reinstating ABC and ESPN, and negotiations are ongoing, but details of the final agreement are being worked out. But if you're a subscriber, that's not a very, very good thing. And according to basically YouTube, the response is this, and I quote, "Our team just shared an email with the Disney leadership regarding their ask to restore ABC for 24 hours. Thanks for your proposal. We agree that the right priority here is to give customers what they want. As you know from the many content disputes you've been part of, customers don't want companies fighting in content blackouts. But unfortunately, your proposal would permit us to return Disney's ABC stations only for a day and will cause customer confusion among those who may briefly see ABC on YouTube TV, only to lose it again shortly after. There are plenty of other options for customers. Election news information is very widely available across the other broadcast stations and news networks on YouTube TV, as well as on the main YouTube services for free. In fact, on the last 2 U.S. election days, the vast majority of people tuned into YouTube TV subscribers chose not to watch ABC, publicly resorting to the same tactics that Disney relied on in the past disputes, failing to acknowledge the distinction between YouTube and other distribution platforms. As you know, Disney can continue to live stream news information on the ABC News YouTube page, which has 19.1 million subscribers. And its ABC local stations can also do so on their YouTube pages. To truly achieve what is best for our mutual customers, we propose immediately restoring the Disney channels that our customers watch, ABC and ESPN networks, while we continue to negotiate. Those are the channels that people want. If you agree with our proposal and give us approval, we can get our operational team together and get these channels live in hours. Let us know how you'd like to proceed. More importantly, let's get a fair deal done so we can get back to providing our mutual customers with the content they want. Thank you. So that's what YouTube responded with. And I think, anytime we get a blackout, I know one time I wanted to watch, I think it was on channel 13, and they suddenly blacked that out. They were doing some type they were doing something on Food Network, and that got blacked out. So they decided to move the show over to 13, which I thought was kind of interesting. And they did. And then within a few weeks, it came back. I mean, it's always about money, right? It's always about money. And I think, when a contract is up for renewal, you need to make sure that the terms are negotiated at least 90 days before the renewal. I mean, I think that's good, at least to start it, because it might take some time, because it might take 60 days, right? And then there's a very, very good chance that the service won't be interrupted because you've done your due diligence. But a lot of these people, they don't care. The number one thing for them is money, 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 and they don't care about how they're hurting or helping other people. Number 8, guys, AI pioneer warned many people. AGI. Now, you might be wondering, so, what is, it's a good question, is AGI in AI? So AGI is artificial general intelligence. That's where it comes from. And it could be humanity's biggest risk. The man credited with coining artificial intelligence, AGI, John McCarthy, he warned decades ago about the dangers of AGI machines that could match or surpass human minds. As AGI looms larger in the tech world, McCarthy's early cautions are now at the center of urgent conversations about safety and ethics in AI. One of my big ones is the fact that, we always have to keep a human in the loop. So the real question, so what did McCarthy, say about AGI? What did he really say? So he said a lot of things. And so the core belief in possibility in his 1955 Dartmouth workshop proposal launched the field of AI research and put forth the foundational conjecture that, quote, every aspect of learning or any other feature of intelligence can be, in principle, so precisely described that a machine can be made to simulate it, close quote. This implies a belief that general intelligence is a computational process that can be replicated in machines. But I want to argue it's more than computational. There's more to operation than just numbers. Emphasis on symbolic AI and logic. McCarthy was a primary advocate of symbolic AI approach, sometimes called good old-fashioned AI, which focused on using formal logic and reasoning systems to model human decisions and common sense. Incremental progress. While early AI pioneers were very optimistic about rapid progress toward human intelligence, McCarthy recognized the significant, difficult, challenging the conceptual problems that need to be solved first, particularly regarding the representation of real-world knowledge and common sense. Common sense is something that a lot of people don't have, including some developers. Ascribing mental qualities, he held a functionalist view, suggesting that machines could be said to have mental qualities like beliefs. In a 1979 article, he wrote, quote unquote, machines as simple as thermostats can be said to have beliefs, and having beliefs seem to be a characteristic of most machines capable of problem-solving performance. This contrasted a lot with philosophers like John Searle, who argued the machines lack consciousness and intentionality. Correct. So a belief or a state, I believe, are different because a machine does not know why it has a belief. It just has a belief. The AI effect, he is often associated with the observation that, quote unquote, as soon as it works, no one calls it AI anymore. This highlights his view that once a specific capability like playing chess or performing symbolic math is achieved and understood, it moves into the realm of general software engineering, while AI remains as an aspirational term for as yet unsolved problem of general human level intelligence. I think that's a very, very important thing to realize, what's going on or what's happening. So those are very, very important things to understand. And I think if we can understand, what they are, okay. I think that's a very, very big thing. And I say big thing because people don't necessarily understand why things are done a certain way. And again, this happens because people don't get it. And that's a huge problem for a lot of people to understand. A problem that maybe sometimes people get, but sometimes they don't get. And again, that's something that I feel is it's something I believe that's going to keep morphing, and it's going to keep changing as our worlds change. I think that's probably a very, very big thing. And so I know you're probably saying to me, John, like, this doesn't make sense, but at the end of the day, it should make sense, because we're making this choice, and this choice is something that I think a lot of people, like, they just don't get it. They don't get the fact that it's about, what we're doing, how we're doing it, how we're making these changes in our lives. And everything is morphing around, basically, guys, it's morphing around technology. And I say this to you because sometimes people, they just don't get it. They don't get what something means or why something means something. I think that's a hard thing for a lot of people, to acknowledge why something is a certain way or why something isn't a certain way. I mean, I think that's a very hard thing for a lot of people to gather, especially as we're talking about, AI. And number 9, guys, government shutdown grounds flights, airports in chaos. Travelers are facing chaos nationwide as the government shutdown has led to air traffic controller nightmares and shortages, delays and cancellations, and misconnections and airport gridlock dominating headlines. And will this shutdown leave a lasting mark on American transportation? I think the answer to that is yes. But it's going to cause some challenges first. It's going to cause some issues that I think are about the larger picture, the picture that, we have to be doing the right thing at the right time. And I get that these people right now are frustrated and they don't want to show up for work. I totally get that. And I'm not saying they should work for free, but I think the government needs to do something to resolve this, because the fact that this is happening, I mean, this is just crazy. I think it's crazy to know what's going on. And I think if people want to know, like, what's going to be tomorrow, we should look at the conversations we're having today. And those conversations we're having today, I think, are a very, very big deal. A big deal because they influence, what's happened yesterday, and they influence what's going to happen tomorrow, right? So with these flight delays and cancellations, travelers are expecting a lot. And so then the big question you're probably asking is, why are there so many flight cancellations? And again, the issue is clear. It's because the FAA reductions are in effect. Hundreds of flights are canceled as reductions are taking effect. Federal Aviation Administrator Brian Bedford has said the unprecedented move is the result of fatigue plaguing air traffic controllers who have been working without pay since the start of the government shutdown, now in its second month. The FAA mandated flight cancellations, meaning a 4% reduction in operations, and it will ramp up to 6% by November 11th, and by 13% up to 10% by November 14th. The 10% reduction will result in about 4,400 flights canceled per day. So the question is, what do you do if your flight is canceled? Can you get on another flight? The airline will try to rebook you using their app for faster options. But I mean, this is all just a game, guys. This is a game, and I think Washington, I mean, I'm not getting political here, but I think they need to stop being petty, and they need to wake up. I don't care what side you're on, Democrat, Republican, I really don't care. It doesn't matter. I think at the end of the day, we have a right to have a country run properly. And I want to say something for everybody. If the rest of the world isn't getting paid, okay, the congressmen and senators shouldn't be getting paid either. I mean, I'm just being honest about that. Because, what's right is right. But I just see so much political nonsense, and I'm not political, but I have to tell you, this is getting very political, and this government could have been opened way, way before. So the question now is, how many days, is the shutdown? Well, right now, this shutdown is quite a bit. So the shutdown right now to date is actually it was basically started 35 days. So is this the worst shutdown? So the worst shutdown was actually 35 days. Well, actually, so it is the worst. It's 35 days. 2018, 2019, 35 days. So we're at that crescendo point where we're definitely at the point where we're over it. And I think it's a big problem. I hope the government will wake up. I really do, and stop playing these games. Number 10, Apple upgrades Siri. Third-party AI models are coming soon. Tech fans are buzzing as Mr. Tim Cook announced Apple's big leap into AI. Third-party AI models and new integrations will soon elevate Siri and iPhone features. Can Apple's intelligence redefine the smart device experience? I don't know. We'll have to see. The race for next-gen AI assistants heats up. But my question about things heating up is this going to affect our safety? Our privacy? I mean, is it? I mean, I think that's the bottom line. If it affects our safety, then I think that's a huge problem. I mean, for everyone. So that's something I think that we all have to realize. And if we understand and we realize that, then maybe, just maybe, things will get a little better. I mean, maybe. I'm not saying tomorrow. But again, this is a gradual progression, and I think these progressions are something that a lot of people they just don't really need them. And saying to not need something is a very, very big thing. But again, this whole thing about what's going on with AI, it's blowing up, guys. And although some of it has some great potential, my fear is that a lot of our bad actors may be starting to deploy and use this technology. They already are. Number 11, a laser tech revolutionizes chip design, making it faster, cheaper in the semiconductor world. Scientists have unveiled a one-step laser breakthrough that transforms, guys, titanium oxide into P-type semiconductors. This advancement means a faster, cheaper, and a more versatile chip design, one that could upend the future of electronics in every device you own. That's pretty powerful. Number 12, Ultra HD TVs. Scientists say QHD matches the 4K, 8K for your eyes. Think your new Ultra HD TV is a game changer? Scientists have discovered that the human eye's resolution maxes out sooner than you think they do. Very similar to people spending millions of dollars on stereo systems. Their ears can only hear a certain amount. Meaning for most living rooms, QHD looks as sharp as the pricey 4K, 8K screens. Are you spending extra for pixels you never will be able to see? Let's be serious about it. Number 13, Zoom echoes reveal your location. Privacy risk exposed, and it's upon us. A new study shows that video conferencing apps like Zoom and many others can actually reveal your physical location even with the camera off. By analyzing echoes from in-app sounds, modern privacy means more than just muting your mic. It's a whole new world of digital vulnerability. And I think every day, we're learning more about digital vulnerability and what it means for everyone. But the question is, are we doing anything about it? It's one thing to know that it's happening, right? We have to be aware of it. It's a second thing to actually do something, right? Number 14, hackers bypass tap to pay limits. Card fraud hits new heights. Contactless payment systems are designed for convenience, and they now face new risks. Researchers have exposed methods for hackers to bypass transaction limits and make high-value purchases even on offline card readers and mobile wallets. What does this mean for shoppers and retailers? Well, it's a disaster. And I think understanding this is a problem. And I'm going to share a little story that happened to me. And the story was all about always being careful. And I was at the gas station a couple of years ago, a town away from mine, actually, in Oakland, New Jersey. And it was a rainy night. And I had given them my ATM card from my bank account. And again, it was rainy. I wasn't really watching too much. But, you know, they went there. They hit the pump. Nothing seemed really crazy. And got my gas, and I left. Well, the next day, I went to this car show. They had this Cars, Cops, and Coffee in town in Franklin Lake. So I went to that. And all of a sudden, I'm getting all these alerts on my phone. I mean, alerts like crazy, like authorization for a cup of coffee, $400 for a tent rental, $1,200 for deposit on food. I'm getting like close to $8,000. I'm like, well, is this all spam? I'm noticing it's coming from my bank app. So I'll just deal with it when I get home. So I get home and I'm seeing like $10,400 pending to be paid. I'm like, for what? What is all this nonsense? And I realized what was going on, that my card actually got sniffed at the pump. Now, sniffers can be installed very, very easily. Pump sniffers are, you're probably wondering, what is a credit card? Like they call it a pump, sniffer for credit cards. And so you see them a lot at gas stations. Basically, it's a credit card Mac sniffer bad actors use to get your credit card info, and they can read the entire thing. And so, this can even be done with a Flipper Zero, which is sad that technology that's out there that's meant to be used to help and teach is being used to abuse. And you can get sniffers out there very reasonably. Well, they hide these things just under, so where you tap the card, they have the sniffer under, and you can't even see it. Now, this is a lot of the independent stations because, they don't really have cameras everywhere. This would never happen at like one of these major stations, but they have the little thing there, and at the end of the shift, they just take that with them. And what's happening is it's sniffing it, and it's sending it via Bluetooth to their cell phone. Well, the next day, my MAC number was sold to 3 different people. The reason I say this is I was getting charges from 3 different states while I was in Franklin Lakes, and I hadn't bought or purchased anything in a day or two. And it was just nuts. Now, here's the funny part. The fact that they were large transactions made it hard to prove to them. The fact, if it was a smaller transaction, they would say, oh, gee, it's fraud. You think the bank would do the same thing that they normally would do. Now, I'm going to expose the bank here because obviously it's only fair to do that. My bank at the time was M&T for this card, and they gave me a real hassle. I said this before, banking is not as friendly as it was before. They're blaming the consumer. I mean, obviously they knew this wasn't me, and yes, I did win, but it took me 7 days to fix the problem. That's insane, guys. That is insane. I mean, the fact that they just paid that, I knew that wasn't my normal activity, but the fact that somebody goes and charges a credit card, let's say out of state, for a deposit for a room that I'm going to, that gets flagged, okay? But the fact that you stole my number, no, then what they did is they took my number and then they made a clone card. Okay, so excuse me. They made a clone card, so that must make it non-flaggable. I mean, come on, your technology, this PCI technology is crap, all right? Does anybody know what credit card PCI tech is? So it's the PCI, they call it PCI compliance, Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. It's called PCI, or CC, like refers to the credit card or cardholder data. It's a set of security standards designed to ensure that all companies that store, process, or transfer credit card information maintain a secure environment to reduce credit card fraud and protect sensitive consumer financial information, etc. While it's not a government law, compliance is a contractual requirement mandated by major credit card companies like Visa, MasterCard, etc. And what they do is if you don't go through their yada yada compliance thing every year, well, they flag your account for like $100 a month for non-compliance. I mean, if that isn't stupid, right? I get that we want to have a standard in place. I mean, I get that, right? But my problem is that your standard, like, it sucks, just being honest, right? If anybody has a business and has gone through PCI compliance, you have to fight with them, and you talk to people that don't even have any knowledge about this, and they're the people that are supposedly helping you. The best ones are the ones where you can go in and just self-certify. You answer your questions. I remember several years ago where you had to re-answer all the questions. Oh, that was a nightmare. Now you can actually just update the questionnaire and just answer only the new questions, and as long as nothing's changed, you can keep moving forward. So security, we have this push between security, privacy, and tyranny, right? And although I think security is great, I think the problem is we don't have a standard in place that makes sure, a watchdog to make sure that all security, like all credit card, supposedly PCI is across the board. But what you may not know is that PCI standards, well, they suck. Because it's a rigid one-size-fits-all standard that can be expensive to comply with, distracts from other security efforts, and it's difficult to navigate due to complex requirements and confusing self-questionnaires. They call it the SAQ. Some companies now, because they don't want to lose your business, actually have an agent that will literally walk you through it, and they're trained on what to answer, what to say, and things like that. And, you know, it's something that if you've never done it before, it can be very daunting. And they may not suspend your merchant account, but what they will do is they'll hit you with a $50 or $100 bill every month because, well, you're non-compliant. Yeah, what does that all mean? So, guys, I want to thank you so much for joining me today on the JMOR Tech Talk Show. This is the show that's been around now for almost 4 years. We're going to be 4 years in less than 8 weeks. And we'll be on Series 5. I can't believe that. Series 5, Episode 1 on, in case you want to know the date, it'll actually be in January. It'll be January 2nd, 2026. We'll be on Series 5, Episode 1. That's pretty amazing. So we've talked a lot about technology, and we've talked a lot about what's currently going through our world, you know, from TikTok to, you know, things happening with contactless payment systems, the fact about video calls leaking more. I mean, a lot of you do this stuff, but I bet a lot of you that do this stuff don't really take the time to make sure you're doing something proper. I was giving a training the other day about this, and, you know, one of the big problems with cybersecurity is lack of education. If the people in the workplace or people in the home would have been educated, they can mitigate the damages. So one thing they do is they gain trust of the user, right? And they build that trust, and then they get them to click a link. The link gets them to download this payload, and then it gets connected to what we call the installation. Then it gets connected to a CNC server. And you might be asking, so John, you know, what is a CNC server for bots? So it is a command and control server. So the way it works, guys, is they send these emails out to many people, right? And they try to build trust with them. And they then need all these computers, okay? They install them. And then what happens is the command and control server connects to all these computers. So they need thousands and millions of computers. And they send them all to, let's say, one server, one website. And then we get a DDoS, distribution denial of service, which is different than a DOS, denial of service, which is just a small attack. Distributed denial of service is where we use quite a few computers to all be at the same place at the same time. So the moral here is don't click on something unless you know who it is from. I think that should be a huge one for everyone. But I know sometimes, oh, you know, I won this, I won that. I don't care what you won. realize that if you think it's too good to be true, chances are, guess what? It probably is too good to be true. I mean, I'm just being like very upfront and very honest with everyone. So realize that, guys. Realize that you have a moment or two to make the choice to decide. I then invite you to check out believemeachieve.com, either right after the show or tonight or tomorrow. You can replay this show. You can, watch other shows like Inspirations for Your Life. You can watch my short form content, my long form content, so many other great things, my articles. And I want to thank many of the radio stations and many of the cable networks that are choosing to carry this show and my motivational show. It means so much that we can get this information out there. I want to help you guys explore even more unique content. So visit believemeachieve.com. Again, I create content that is about truth. I invite you to listen again to this podcast and to other casts and to know that these ideas are nuggets that I believe you guys will become very familiar with. But again, don't expect it to happen in one shot, because you know what, guys? It's not going to happen in one shot. It might take you a few times before you're actually able to do something, before you're able to act upon. I mean, I think that's a very, very important thing. I hope that today's show empowered each and every one of you to know that the choice of security, the whole choice of security, you know where it starts? It starts with you. You're the one that needs to make the decision to click or not click. And I want to tell you, if there's a concern about clicking, don't click. I'd rather have somebody be mad at you that you didn't open their email than you open an email that's wrong. I mean, I think that's the thing at the end of the day it comes through, is we have to make sure we are doing the right thing. All right, guys. It has been such a privilege and such a pleasure to be with you here on the JMOR Tech Talk Show. Series 4, Show 46, less than 8 weeks to go. And yes, we'll be in Series 5. Have yourself a great rest of your day and weekend. And I'll see you guys next week, November 14th, for Series 4, Show 47. Take care. Be well, everyone. And remember, technology, use it smartly and wisely. It's a tool. You can use it to help or to hurt. Use it to become the tool that helps you and helps others. Take care, everyone, and be well. And remember, if you see something that's too good to be true, it probably is. You didn't win that car. You didn't win that lottery. You just got scammed. And so did a million other people. Be well, everyone, and take care.